It's time for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris at Slumberland Furniture. From Slumberland Furniture in Osage Beach, here are your hosts, William Holtz and Chris Schneider.
What's up, Lake of the Ozarks? Yes, I showed up this week. I'm not quite in mourning like you might expect over my Bills loss. Of course, on this week's Cup of Coffee, we'll talk football. Those Chiefs, they're still playing football.
It's surprisingly enough, yeah, and Patrick Mahomes got hurt, still came back. That's interesting.
We'll talk about that and, of course, the championship round games this weekend, plus another bizarre crime this weekend, crazy, a fatal shooting. We'll talk about that. Plus, officially, Missouri deer hunting season came to a close, and we're going to look at the numbers because, Chris, over the last couple years, we've seen record numbers year after year. Did that trend continue? We'll break down Missouri Department of Conservation's preliminary report, plus a very special Hometown Heroes presented by Central Ozarks Medical Center. That and a whole lot more on this week's Cup of Coffee after this from Slumberland at the Lake.
Hey everyone, Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland Furniture of the Lake. Right now we have our inventory reduction sale going on through the month of January. Come in, check it out. What does it mean for you? Lots of great savings. We've got savings in every room of the house for every budget you could think of. We have sofas starting at $399, bedroom groups starting at $599. Come see us, save lots of money. Slumberland Furniture, where we're bringing happy home.
All right, so we get started this week with another bizarre story locally. A fatal shooting Friday night, Chris, in Osage Beach. The report reads that Osage Beach detectives currently investigating the shooting that occurred on Friday, the 21st of January, and what exactly led up to it. But for now, there actually seems to be more questions than there are answers. Now, what police have confirmed and made public and given us information on are the identities of the two men who were shot. Micah Amon, 20, of Columbia, was pronounced deceased at Lake Regional Hospital on Friday night, and Devin Atkinson, 19, of Osage Beach, sustained 2 gunshot wounds to the body and has been hospitalized. Authorities say both men's families have been notified. Now, Osage Beach Police Department Lieutenant Michael O'Day told Lake Expo why there is not currently a manhunt. Police don't even have a suspect yet.
Isn't that weird?
Currently, they don't know how many people were involved or if there even is a suspect out there. Well, we've gotten several different reports on scene and away from the scene, but nothing factual. Investigators continue to speak with witnesses to follow up on leads. Now, there were a lot of people involved in responding to the scene Friday night. The Osage Beach Police Department, they were assisted at the scene by Osage Beach Ambulance, Fire Protection District, Miller County Ambulance, Staff for Life, Camden County Sheriff Office, Miller County Sheriff's Office, Morgan County Sheriff's Office, Iberia Police Department, Mid-Mo Drug Task Force, the Lake Area Major Case Squad, Missouri State Highway Patrol, the Camden County Prosecutor's Office, and the University of Missouri Police Department.
Sounds like everybody was there, man.
Everybody across the state. Wow. And, a lot of reports and a lot of people were saying things on Facebook. Of course, we didn't know, but they haven't given us a lot because I don't think they know a lot. The questions everyone's asking are the individuals that were shot, one who was killed and the other who was taken to the hospital. Were they the ones that were the culprit? Were they the victim? We just don't know, and so it's unfair to assume at this point. But how bizarre over the last couple of weeks, some of these stories we've seen here at the lake.
Yeah, I guess we take it for granted that you just automatically know what happened. We're so used to watching TV and, well, obviously this and that. In something like this, you don't know if they're the victims or if they are the culprits. It's just, and the police admit it. They say, we don't have a suspect yet. We don't know how many people were involved or even if the suspect is still out there. It's just amazing, kind of a little bit scary too.
Yeah, a little bit scary because no idea at this point in time. Was it a breaking and entering? Was it a situation gone haywire? Your mind starts to wonder what causes gunshot firing, and of course the fatal shooting, just bizarre, happens right here in Osage Beach. We'll keep you posted on that as we find out more.
Yeah.
In our next story, the lake is always a hot spot for summer activities. Boating, of course, the hiking about, which is good year-round. But our friends over at Lake Expo, they actually put together 10 ideas for winter fun around the lake.
That's a good idea.
And so I figured we'd look through the list, Chris, and see what we thought. And the first one on their list is one of my favorites, the ice at Old Kinderhook. You've been out there for the winter?
I have been out to Kinderhook. I have not been on the ice.
So have you been out there and seen the ice?
I've seen where the ice goes.
Right. Okay, so once you get out there where you're used to seeing the sand volleyball court.
Right, that's what I've seen.
It is so cool the way they turn that into an ice rink for these winter months. It's outdoor ice skating, and that's not it. They've got breakfast and different themes. And then pre-Christmas, which of course has come and gone, they do annually, they do different weekend events like Saturday Santa's Workshop and Breakfast with Santa and those different things. They even have the Disney characters like Anna and Elsa and Olaf. Really, really cool, and you can visit their website for hours and prices because those vary throughout the winter. That was the first thing that Kinderhook mentioned, or sorry, that Expo mentioned, and I love that during the winter.
Yeah, and that's open Wednesday through Sunday, and you've mentioned that. I think you've taken the girls out there a couple of times, right?
Well, we've been out there. So the night we went last year was supposed to be their grand opening. Well, the weather was warmer later last year, so it wasn't cold enough for the ice to open. So I've been out there covering, they do hockey tournaments, like traveling hockey tournaments, youth leagues, which has really grown, especially in the St. Louis and Kansas City area and those bigger cities across the country. But they have those here. And so we went out to cover, and I got out on the ice and skated around with some of the kids, and that was a blast. And we've also shot a market update with Jessica Bruce out there at Old Kinderhook during the ice skating season. So yeah, it's really, really cool, and one of the cooler things. Another thing they mention is crappie fishing.
Yeah.
You probably knew that, but crappie fishing in the winter is good fishing.
Yeah, well, I guess. It's just a rumor to me because I haven't caught any of them. But yeah, apparently the crappie, they, of course, school up as fish do. They can be found at the back of coves and around docks, and they're often roaming, and trying to store up for the really cold months and stuff like that. I think I've heard some good fishermen saying that usually the fishing is really good in December. Not so sure about January and February, but it probably depends on the weather, right? How warm the weather stays.
Yeah, a good time to remind everybody, crappie fishing, most people know about crappie fishing and of course has its seasons, but we are right around the corner from spoonbill season.
Oh, yeah.
Here at the lake,
Yeah.
which reminds me our friends at Real Deal Fishing Guides have the first annual spoonbill snagging tournament on Saturday, March 18th, and that's going to be big. $10,000 big fish, first place prize, of course, over $30,000 in total cash and prizes. Real cool. You can check out realdealfishingguides.com to find out and sign up for that. But I never realized that there was fishing to do when it was this cold.
Yeah.
But there are definitely. And a lot of people across the country, not down here at the lake maybe, but ice fishing's huge, so that's how you know you can definitely fish when it's cold.
Oh, yeah. And, and real fishermen, they know where to go year round. I mean, they know where they can go out to catch, crappie or whatever, bass or whatever they're looking to catch. But let me tell you, crappie is really delicious to eat. Oh my God.
If it's done right and fried up,
yeah, it's great.
Aren't you kind of a fish extraordinaire?
No, I'm not, but Marvin is.
Okay.
Our sales manager, Marvin, and his wife, Jackie. I mean, they're out fishing like every day.
Really?
They are great fishermen, yeah.
We got invited over this weekend to Marvin and Jackie's Kansas City Chiefs watch party.
It's a palace, isn't it?
Yeah, they do it right over there. The spread was like the Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
It was like the budget for their spread was 10 times my annual food budget. It was unbelievable.
Oh my gosh.
It was awesome.
It was. That food was amazing. Did you try some of that?
Tri-tip?
The tri-tip?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I
Unbelievable.
should have brought plastic bags.
My mouth is watering right now. It was so good.
Talking about the 10 things to do at the lake in the winter, go over to Marvin and Jackie's and get some of that tri-tip, baby.
That's
How'd that
right.
not make the list?
Man.
Oh, but next on the list, Ha Ha Tonka hiking. We know it's great in the summer months. You see it all around, but believe it or not, some of the best views are this time of year when the trees aren't so full. Some of those trails, you would be shocked just across the way how you could see the castle ruins, the lake, the spring, because it's all one state park, all connected. And when you're tucked in those trails and deep into the woods with all the foliage, you kind of can't see what's around you. Go out and hit those trails this time of year. You'd be shocked at how different the layout looks. It's almost like hike it now, and when you hike it in the spring and summer, you're going to hike a completely different trail. That definitely needs to be on the list.
There's a different beauty, and I'm sure everybody has figured this out. My wife and I figured this out the first year we were here. there's a different beauty in the winter. Obviously, it's pretty in its own way in the spring and the summer and the fall with the leaves gorgeous. But in the winter with the leaves down, you see so much more through the trees that you wouldn't know is there otherwise. And it is beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Speaking of gorgeous, something that we could take for granted being down here and the locals know about and have heard plenty about, but maybe that's you and you've never went. The 2 caves down here, actually there's 3 of them, but Jacob's Cave, Stark Caverns, and Bridal Cave, all 3 down here open year-round. And you ever been spelunking?
I have never been spelunking.
You never been to a cave?
I've been to a cave, but I've never been spelunking.
So spelunking is cave exploring.
That's like going in and really going through.
That's like putting on the rappelling gear, right?
Yeah. Oh man, it's a little too tight for me. I don't know that I could get back in there and in the dark and everything and do that. That freaked me out a little bit.
Speaking of the caves, did you know that longtime general manager and part-time owner of Bridal Cave, Steve Thompson, is set to retire at the end of March?
I did not know that.
I went in there last week and I met their new general manager, and I'll tell you what, it's going to be weird not seeing Steve around as much. He said he'll still be found at the park, but while we're talking about caves, I was just thinking, did you know Steve's retiring?
How can he retire? I mean, he's got like a teenage kid.
Right.
He's too young to retire.
You would think he's been working there since he was like 6 minutes old, and pretty special. But listen, if you haven't been, Chris, to any of the 3 caves, Jacob's Cave out there in Versailles, that's where they have those swapping days, the big swap meet every year. Phenomenal to tour that. And Stark Caverns, that one is really great. They've kind of brought it back over the last
that
couple.
at?
Right off 54 in Eldon, between Lake Ozark and Eldon, like 3 miles outside of Eldon before you get to the exit there in Eldon. Right there on the left side, you'll see the big Stark Caverns. Used to be Fantastic Caverns.
Yeah.
But when you enter that cave, you're literally on an elevated walkway in water. So you walk into the cave over the water, and it's underneath you for the majority of the time you're in there. It's
How cool
phenomenal.
is that? Wow.
And of course, Bridal Cave. You've been there, right?
Number 1 year-round attraction at the Lake of the Ozarks is the Bridal Cave.
Open every day, I think, except for Christmas and maybe Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And it's the same temperature 365 days a year.
How cool is that? It's like 66 degrees, I think. So middle of summer, go in there and cool off. Middle of winter, go in there and warm up.
That's right. And I just saw the Ozarks Amphitheater starting to announce some of their concerts. They did a really cool Guess Who the Artist Is with Lindsay and the crew inside the cave. They had lights flickering and wind blowing, and so you could probably guess what band they were signifying was coming. But I thought that was neat to see our friends at Bridal Cave getting involved in that. All right, another one, Jets Trampoline Park. Get your jump on. It's the perfect place for stir-crazy kids, and I can attest to that. Saturday is toddler time from 9 to 11 in the morning.
Yeah.
And so Saturday is a great day for us to get up, take Brindley over to the jump park, burn some energy. And the new owners, Devin and Amanda Scribner, have really put some money and brought it back, put some really great games, and also a great place to host birthday parties. And get-togethers for the kiddos. They do great there.
So that is open every day except Wednesdays.
Nice, very good. So you did your research on this so you could help me out, because I'm just mentioning, I don't know when they're open, what it costs, but Chris also knows the important information. Another one, Jolly Mon Indoor Water Park at Margaritaville.
Yeah.
Listen, too cold to get outside, and if you're like Brindley, if your kids are like her, you want to be in the water all the time. A little cold this time of the year, where the indoor water park is a good solution.
Yeah.
Open weekends through the winter. Visit the lake's indoor water park and imagine for a moment it's already summer. Just ignore the icicles outside, and you could visit them online for hours.
And it's just right there at Margaritaville. Just, I mean, it's not even far. It's just right there. It's inside, really cool. You got to check that out. That's nice.
We ought to go there and do a little feature.
That's oh yeah, absolutely.
Floating on our rubber duckies.
I'll put my Speedo on, you know.
Oh boy. Aunt Michelle says no thank you. All right, arcades and go-karts open Saturdays 11 through 8 and Sundays 11 through 5. Minor Mike's is a haven from the summer heat as well as the winter blues. But I saw the outlet mall had some crazy leaking going on. And did you see the water flowing out of the backside of Minor Mike's parking lot?
Yeah, that's pretty sad, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what had happened exactly, but that was wild. But when they get that taken care of, Minor Mike's is a great place.
Yeah.
We have season passes for Brindley. Love going there, burn some energy. And if you go over to Buster's, there's a handful of records inside the adult arcade that myself, Andrew, and Ricky Smith own inside that arcade. Now, I don't think
Wow.
they've been broken yet.
You spent a little time in there, did you?
Little time and a lot of money, and we got a lot of tickets, which equated to some really cool plastic trinkets.
That
And
was probably back in the single days, I'm guessing. Huh?
that was like last week. It was just a couple of years ago. Unique and I were together. Hey, another one, if you were at Eagle Days, you already know this, but this time of year is perfect for eagle watching out at Bagnell Dam. They can often be seen soaring and fishing right in the Osage River there, and they're most active between 7 and 9 a.m. and 4 and 5 p.m. So make some plans, go down to the dam, and who knows, you might catch some of those Ozark eagles.
How cool is that, though? That where we're in a place where you can actually go and see eagles. 99.9% of the country, you can't do that, but you can do it here, and it's cool.
And I would guess that the eagle population here in Missouri and the Ozarks has increased because it used to be such a rarity to spot an eagle, if you were driving or you were outside. Well, it's more common now. For me, anyway, I've seen more eagles, so I think they're out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're running an eagle feature on Lake TV this week from Missouri Department of Conservation. It is so cool. I love birds, man. Eagles, owls, hawks, falcons, love them, man.
It's the weirdest thing, too, because if I ask Chris to watch my kid or my dogs, he's going to say no. But if I show up to your house with a couple of vultures and eagles and
Yeah, let's bring them in, man.
be just fine with that. So you don't got the soft spot for the dogs and the cats, but we bring something with talons over to your house and you soften up a little
They're
bit.
in, man. Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. All right, don't forget about Polar Plunge as well.
That's crazy.
Right around the corner.
Yeah.
And can't forget about JT Gurlt and, of course, Zach Paul with KRCG, JT with KS95. They're
Yep.
super plungers, and they always go head-to-head. Last year, JT raised like $38,000.
Isn't that incredible?
So I'm interested to see this year.
I think you
Zach
need to do that.
No, I don't think so. If Uncle Chris and Aunt Michelle pledge 25 grand, I'll do it in a Speedo.
Wow. In a Speedo. It's off. No good. Don't want to see that.
Love it. Okay, so that's February 25th. And then the last thing on the list, which I love,
You're already
is,
working on this.
Yeah, working on it. It's a work in progress, let me tell you. But get fit. Great time of the year. It's winter. Don't get caught in that funk where you just get lazy and we're eating not as good as we'd like to, because by the time spring rolls around, you're looking at a 6 to 8 week period when you decide to start getting active to burn off a lot of that gunk. So now's a good time to start thinking about, that summer bod.
Absolutely, yeah. I think when kids first go to college, they call that freshman year gaining the freshman 10 or something like that. It's just a new lifestyle, usually more sedentary. And
They call it the freshman 50 with me.
And he's not kidding. We should put the pictures on screen, man.
This is the widescreen, not that wide of a screen, okay?
And it's the same, though, in winter. We do tend to sit around more, eat more, drink a little more, and gain a little more weight. So, yeah, that fit. You're going the other direction, though. You're losing weight. You're getting in shape. It's pretty impressive.
Working on it. We're gonna get there. All right, so I've really been interested in over the last couple of years some of the hunting seasons here in Missouri, whether it's turkey, whether it's brown black bear hunting, or whether it's, of course, the deer season. The deer hunting season comes to a close, so what did the 22 season look like in comparison to last year?
Okay, so the Missouri Department of Conservation, MDC, has released the preliminary numbers. So the preliminary total deer harvest for the season, 299,721. So just under 300,000 deer. 140,000 plus were antlered bucks. 27,000 plus were button bucks. 132,000 were does. All right.
Those numbers blow your mind at all?
Crazy, yeah. Actually, driving around the lake, you see deer running across the road all the time. So shouldn't be surprised, but those are huge numbers.
Yeah, but 300,000.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about if you took a 500-acre plot of land and you put 300,000 deer and you got an aerial shot. I mean, that's massive.
Yeah.
That's nuts. So by comparison, back in 22, 295,000, so up over 4,000 from last year.
Yep.
Hunters harvested in the 2021-22 deer season. Of those, 143,000 were antlered bucks, 26,700 being button bucks, and 124,000 being does. For archery season, 56,000 this season,
Yep.
which was down from 59,000.
Isn't that interesting? I found that interesting that it was down the archery for deer, where the gun hunting was up just a little bit. So, maybe fewer archery hunters out there. Or
Well,
something.
and the same thing happened with turkey, where there was this year 2,446 turkeys harvested. Last year, 2,516.
Yeah.
So not a drastic decrease, but when you see the bucks, the deer rather, go up by almost 4,500, you might anticipate that the archery would be the same, and as well as with the turkeys, but those both go down. And MDC did report that there were 2 firearm-related hunting incidents during deer and turkey season, with both being non-fatal and self-inflicted. So no fatalities with this hunting season, which is always a plus, and we love seeing that.
And by the way, we've got a hunting show on Lake TV, Ozark Traditions TV. You can see that at noon and 9 o'clock on Lake TV. It's really great. They're right here in the area, based out of Lebanon up there and stuff. Great show, Ozark Traditions TV. You can watch that on Lake TV. It's awesome.
That's a great show, and also the rejuvenation of the relationship with Missouri Life.
Yeah.
Bringing back some great segments there. A lot of good content to be found on Lake TV, and we're only continuing to grow on that here this year. All right, so now it's time for this week's Central Ozarks Medical Center's Hometown Hero, and we love this one. I'm sure a lot of you do as well. It's Jane Martin with Scott's Concrete. And of course, you were the one that nominated Jane. Jane Martin and son Scotty Martin with Scott's Concrete have longtime family ties to the Lake of the Ozarks. Believe it or not, we know Scotty, Jane's son, so we think that's where the name came from for Scott's Concrete, right? Well, actually, Jane's parents, I believe, Bob and Joe Ellen Scott, started Scott's Concrete back in 1954. Joe Ellen was the last baby born in the town of Old Lynn Creek, and Bob's father, which would be Scotty's great-grandfather, was the first to come to the area back in 1890s as a surveyor. He then returned to Iowa, got an investor, and returned in 1894, purchasing the large tract of land that included Hahatonka all the way to Bridal Cave.
Wow.
The last of the land is still in the Scott family that adjoins Bridal Cave back behind the Camdenton concrete plant. Now, as far as business goes, that's obviously important. Jane was the first woman chair of the Missouri Concrete Association. And the W interchange that was completed recently, that was done with SAP, and Scott's won an award for the best ready-mix company in Missouri, as well as national recognition for that project. They've proven themselves as the trusted name in concrete here in mid-Missouri for 68 years, and the company's business model is to provide exceptional service and quality materials to support development in the region. However, it's the community involvement displayed by Scott's that goes above and beyond. Now, Jane prides herself on doing her giving without public knowledge. It's very, very important.
They give a lot.
Yeah, you may know about Homes for the Holidays with Slumberland. Of course, we have to spread the word for that so we can find people to pair with new beds. But you probably don't know things like donating and hauling 10 loads of gravel to the Lynn Creek soccer fields for LOSO, or the concrete for the handicap swing at the Camdenton schools, concrete for the Hope House building, the Camp Wonderland projects over the years that we got to see directly in our nonprofit out there, not to mention CADV Share the Harvest Food Pantry, and a huge way they're involved with the Community Foundation at the lake. And one notable recent contribution was the Camdenton VFW. Scott's Concrete provided materials, labor, and construction guidance. The company also helped raise funds for veterans and their families to build a community resource. Scott Martin sometimes worked alone after hours in the VFW building project without charge. Now, that list goes on, and as a matter of fact, I did some digging and talking with organizations, because Jane and Scotty would never tell you how much they give or where it's going, but I found out that every year they give to over 60 charities and organizations around the lake alone. they contribute to, and they did not want any amounts or anything to be shared. That's important to them because the reason they give is because they want to encourage others to give, and you may not be able to give at the level they do, but I was talking with Scotty a couple of months ago, and he says, well, Will, it really is about, helping the people who are in need. He goes, and Mom's always instilled that. He said, but on top of that, it's about encouraging and inspiring those others that are in a position to help to do that, and I think they have encouraged people to do that. It's also funny, Jane's an adventure seeker with a true zest for life. She's got a slingshot utility vehicle she loves to take around. She's skydove numerous times, and she's an avid scuba diver. She has the 7 Seas badge, which I would assume means she's dove in the Arctic, North Atlantic, South Atlantic, North Pacific, South Pacific, Indian, and Southern Oceans.
All over the world.
She's crazy as far as her zest for adventure, and to be honest, I want to be more like Scotty Martin and Jane Martin when I grow up. Jane loves to give back. She adores her family, her son Scotty, daughter-in-law Allison. The rest of her family, of course, are 2 precious granddaughters, and our area is better because of the Scott and the Martin family, and it's our honor to highlight Jane Martin with Scott's Concrete as this week's Central Ozarks Medical Center hometown hero.
Absolutely. I had the privilege of having them on the Lake TV Community Spotlight show a little while back, and they're just so fun to be around. They're wonderful people. But it was funny, Scotty was telling the story about how Grandpa planted the trees in front of Camdenton High School, and Jane's like, really? I didn't know that. I've never heard that story. So, I mean, they're just such a huge intricate part of the community. Love you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. Great nomination by you. All right, so as we move ahead, we got to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh my goodness, Uncle Chris. They held on against the Jaguars, but I think everyone across the state of Missouri was holding their breath when they saw Mahomes hobble off the field. Of course, he's diagnosed with a high ankle sprain. It'll be interesting to see this next week. And I know you guys are wondering, how's Will doing? Is he in mourning? But I'm actually in pretty good shape. I had kind of, during the Miami game, with Buffalo struggling to beat a banged-up third-string rookie quarterback, I didn't feel real good going into the Bengals game. And, I'm going to take Kansas City next week, but the Bengals look for real. I mean, they came out and they took away everything Buffalo wanted to do. They outplayed them. They outcoached them. They didn't have the same kind of penalties. I mean, Bengals look good, and that's who the Chiefs are going to get again, a rematch against the Bengals next Sunday at 5:30. Cincinnati is 3-0 against the Chiefs over the last 2 years, including that heartbreaking loss in the AFC Championship game a year ago. Mahomes, even with his sprained ankle, 2 touchdowns. Kelsey, crazy yet again, 14 catches, 98 yards, 2 scores. But you want to know the play of the game, in my opinion?
What was that?
That was Henny's 98-yard touchdown drive, showing Kansas City Chiefs are not just Patrick Mahomes. Yes, he is the heartbeat of that team, but there's enough talent around him when you're backed up inside your own 2-yard line and all of the momentum belongs to the traveling team that your backup quarterback who's been in the NFL 15 seasons comes in and orchestrates a picture-perfect 98-yard drive.
Sometimes a team comes together, plays better and harder when you have a key injury like that. So this, in a weird way, might actually make the Chiefs a little bit better.
I think it might. To see that we can do it without Patrick on the field is going to give everybody a vote of confidence. And I'm telling you what, it is going to be interesting next weekend between the Chiefs and the Bengals. But you have to mention, this is Patrick Mahomes' 5th season as a starting quarterback in the NFL. This is his 5th trip to the AFC Championship game. Never going to be done again. Never has been done. Wild. Rooting for those Chiefs, baby. I got my Patty Mahomes signed helmet. We want those Chiefs to do it. Mizzou basketball, they split. They get revenge against Arkansas and then drop an egg at home against Bama. They'll be at Ole Miss. They were at Ole Miss Tuesday, and then this Saturday, Big 12 SEC matchup with Iowa State. That'll be tough.
They're going to get their butts kicked in that one probably,
Probably so. Hey, real quick before we go, lots of good stuff happening on Lake TV, but don't miss the first ever high school women's basketball. We got 2 doubleheaders, February 3rd, February 6th. Don't miss it. For Slumberland at the Lake, this has been another great edition of A Cup of Coffee.